Our good friend Kim Baer, attorney at law, joining us in studio right now. And Kim, we're going to be talking about a subject that a lot of times people get into arguments about
Yes.
what is and what isn't.
Yes, what is and what isn't. So I thought we'd talk about what is marital property and what is not marital property, because seems to be a lot of confusion over that area. And when people come in and they want to file for divorce, or we're in the midst of a divorce, they're always, well, I earned this money, or this account was only in my name, or he only put the house in his name, and they're all worried about whose name an account or a house is in. And it absolutely does not matter.
Oh, it doesn't?
It does not matter. In Iowa, what we look at is, what did you have when you got married? And then what was earned, what did you acquire during the marriage? And so typically, not always, there's some exceptions we'll go through, but typically anything that's earned or acquired during the marriage is marital property.
And is this outside of the prenup?
Yeah.
If you had one of those put together?
If you had a prenup and it was drafted properly, then the prenup is going to govern what is marital property and what's not marital property. So that's an excellent point, Jackie. That's the reason why we always encourage people. If you're getting married later in life, or you own a business, or maybe you're going to inherit some farmland or inherit something from your family, those are all perfect reasons to have a prenup, because then we can't fight over it. Then it's clear, everybody agreed up front as to how we're going to divide that kind of property.
So a prenup will give a definition to what marital property is without much question. Now, in the state of Iowa, what does marital property mean? As you said, things you acquire while you are married.
Things you acquire, money that you earn. So here's a good example. Let's say that let's get married again, Lou.
Okay, we've been married and divorced so many times.
My husband's not very happy about that, but I just say no. So you and I are married, and let's say that going into the marriage, I own a farm. And so you come and you live with me on the farm. And so, the thought process by most people would be, well, I own the farm beforehand. So if we've been married for 15 years and now we're going to get divorced, I'm going to probably say to you, well, the farm was mine, so it's still mine. And so it's not marital property. But that's not actually the law. So what the law is going to look at is, what was the value of the farm at the time we got married, and what's the value now? And so you have a claim to the appreciation on that asset, even though it was mine ahead of time.
Wow.
Assuming that because you live there, and we probably did some updates, you probably contributed money for the mortgage and things like that. Now, it's a little different. So that's how we treat real estate. It's a little different if we're talking about a bank account or a 401k or something like that. And so accounts, what we look at again is, what was the balance at the beginning, what was the balance at the end, and if there's money that's been put in there that was marital money, then that should be divided. Where things get confusing or a little tricky is whether or not it was a gift or inherited. So now let's say that I had inherited the farm, and so it's my farm, I've inherited it, you come live with me, but we've got lots of assets to divide when we get divorced. A judge very well may say, well, that farm was inherited, so we're going to give the farm to Kim.
Okay.
And Lou doesn't get any of it. But if we don't have a lot of assets to divide, and if you've helped with the farm, and if you worked the farm, then the judge may say, you know what, even though the farm was inherited, and typically we set off inheritance and we set off gifts, the judge may say, you know what, that's just not fair to Lou, because Iowa is an equitable division state, and so the court has the power to say, you know what, we don't think that's fair. He's going to be leaving the marriage with hardly anything. He put some sweat and tears into this farm, so we're going to give him some of it. Some
equity, yeah.
Yeah, and you may even be able to get some of what I had beforehand. Let's say the whole farm's worth $1 million and it was worth $750 when we got married. The judge might give you some of that $750, So you just need, again, a prenup. You need a prenup if you've got farmland.
But this is all based on what the judge interprets, how the judge interprets this.
Exactly. Okay. It all depends, it's a case-by-case basis. So another thing, 401ks, people, a lot of times they become very attached to their 401k. They say, I worked, it's my money, I put it in the 401k, why should he have a claim to it? Or he's got his 401k and I've got my 401k.
That seems pretty cut and clear
yes,
right there. Boom.
Yes. So, but let's say I have $50,000 I've put in my 401k during the marriage, and you have $100,000 that you've put in yours during the marriage. Well, that's not really fair, because you took marital money that we could have been spending and you put it in the 401k, which is great. You're a great saver. But when it's time for us to get divorced, we're going to take the 100 plus the 50, which is 150, and we're going to say, well, Kim should get 75 and Lou should get 75. So I'm going to get some of your 401k. We're going to roll it over to mine to make it even.
To transfer it over.
To transfer it over.
Okay.
Now, gifts typically, so when you get the wedding rings typically are gifts. If during the marriage you're a big golfer and I bought you some nice golf clubs and maybe you bought me a diamond necklace, so gifts are just typically not treated as marital property. So those are things that are going to go with you.
Gifts are gifts.
Yep, gifts are gifts. Because I have people come in and they'll say, I spent $20,000 on her ring, so I should get a credit in my column for that $20,000. And we have to say, no, there's no credit. That's her. She gets to keep it, so take it off your list. We're not dividing that.
Right.
So it just kind of gets tricky with regard to what's a gift and what's inheritance, and and so here's a tip for parents of adult children. If you're not sure about your kids, you're not sure, maybe your son or your daughter got married and you really like your son-in-law, you really like your daughter-in-law, and you're gonna give your son or daughter $10,000. Now, are you going to give it to both of them, or are you just going to give it to one? Now, if you give it to both of them, then it's a gift to both of them. And if they put it in an account and then 2 years from now they get married or get divorced, and you may think, oh, that son of a gun, I never liked him. Well, he gets half of the check because you wrote the check to both of them.
Okay, but if you write the check to just one of them,
right,
then it's a gift to the one.
Then it's a gift to the one.
Okay.
There's lots of things to talk about.
I feel like there's a lot of gray areas.
There's a lot of gray areas.
That's why it's good to have an expert, and if nothing else, that prenup we've talked about before. You can see that segment on our website as well as this one, weareiowa.com. But if they'd like to get in touch with you, Kim, because you do have some great advice, how can they do that?
Yeah, so we offer a free 30-minute consultation. Just give us a call at 279-2000.
Perfect.
That
works. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
it's 11 minutes
guys.
past 7 o'clock. Don't go too far. We are going to be right back. And folks, when we come back, we'll talk with our friends from Warrior Lanes next on CW Iowa Live.